Hey everybody, Jabman025 here. Today I'm taking a look at something a little different, a Mechanicore kit. Mechanicore is a group based out of Hong Kong. They make their own independent model kits for sale. So this isn't a bootleg. This is an original design by an original thing. It's based off an actual Gundam called the Kasi Gundam. They're calling it the Zerstore, but it's the Kasi Gundam, which is a Greek letter in the alphabet if you're wondering. From a novel / manga / whatever, Hathaway /. And I've always wanted one, because these kits are known for having detail to the max. Absolute 10 out of 10 detail. All the way. Maybe even a little beyond 10. 11 out of 10. I've always wanted one. So, a while back I picked one up, and I finally decided, alright, it's time to tackle this beast. Let's have a look. Now, when you crack open this box, you got plate after plate after plate after plate after plate. And if you don't want to, you don't have to paint anything on this kit. This is like a traditional Bandai Gundam kit in that respect. In that different color plates, you get yellow, gray, blue, clear green, etc. The instructions are on a DVD-ROM, and that's stupid. Luckily, in later versions, it does come on a standard piece of paper. The instructions have been uploaded to YouTube. If you want to look at them, you can see them. It gives you step-by-step instructions, but working off a DVD is just stupid. Luckily, later they did a paper version, and someone online was able to send me a copy, and I printed it out myself. And they show you just how complicated and over-the-top and maddening this kit is to build, just because the level of detail, like I said, is off the charts. Head here, the V-fin is actually die-cast. It's a die-cast piece of metal, which is good because the V-fin that came on the plate is broken already. They made it way too thin. So, just in transport it got severely damaged. You'll see little pieces of blue float down. That's because I used some sticky tack to hold things together, and I glued things a lot in this kit because nothing wants to stay together. And I mean nothing wants to stay together. It's either too tight, too loose, or somewhere in between, but nothing wants to just snap together. There's very few pieces on this kit, where I'm just able to plug it and go, and move on. No, there's all sorts of different things where I have to go in there and glue it in, or put a little piece of sticky tack and hide it later with tweezers. It also comes with photo etch parts. If those who don't know what that is, that's a thin piece of metal that has been cut with a laser to make these different neat little parts. And they do some very, 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 very small parts and put them in like very small places, like there in that little section there. And that is a hell no. I didn't even fight with that, and I just painted it gray with Gundam marker. The arms and hands. The hands are kind of like real great hands, 3.0 hands, individually articulated. The arm is a nightmare to build. The shoulder is very big, and it can still move. It uses tons and tons of screws on this thing to hold everything together. The problem is the screws don't always fit, or they're not always long enough, or they won't fit in the hole because it wasn't cast right. So I have pretty much had to glue the entire arm together. It's locked. The elbow will not move. Nothing wants to stay together on this kit. Parts will fall off all the time. So you're going to end up gluing almost all of it. And cutting pieces. You can see there on the arm, if you don't notice it, I had to cut those pieces because they were too small. They did not fit in the place that it said in the instruction. The other arm it did, but on that arm it did not. I don't know why. Torso. You can see the detail, the little mirror or chrome pieces that are in there. It has photo etch parts for the fins and the chest, or for the vents rather. And there's chrome pieces underneath. All these neat little chrome pieces, most of them you will never see because it's going to be covered in armor. So, I appreciate certain points of detail on this kit. There are a lot of parts where I'm building, where it tells you to add this part here, add this part here, add this part here, and then cover the whole thing up with this big piece of plastic, and no one will ever see it. Which is nice, I guess. If you had a clear kit, this thing would look really cool, but there's a lot of, complicated for the sake of being complicated going on here. Attach the head to the torso, and there's a front piece that goes onto the chest, which will pop off all the time. You're going to have to glue it. The hip section, I've had to glue most of that locked in place because, again, lots of screws that do not fit. The shoulder armor on this thing is gargantuan. These big, triangle pieces on the front and the back. Didn't have to glue a ton here, but I did have to glue some pieces. This is one where the detail, all that extra, those pieces and all that extra detail, yeah, this actually works well here. Some photo etched parts for those little fins in the back. Has die-cast metal thrusters for the backpack. Those come with an LED light and the wires to do it, but not the soldering iron or the solder to do it. Or the batteries. So I didn't fight with that particular mess. I don't want to do that. So I just put in the thrusters. They're die-cast metal. They still look cool. But you can see there's a lot going on here. And I mean a lot going on here. And it's already starting to weigh a bloody ton. Now the legs. Lots of cool pistons. Lots of detail on this thing. But my God, was this thing a pain to build. Oh my God. Trying to put the pieces together while holding other pieces with your tweezers, while holding other pieces with your hand, because everything has to lock together at the same time in certain pieces. And there was a certain point where I just said, bleep it, and I just started gluing things together. The legs are so frustrating to build. Hooks onto with the armor on there, which barely fits, and you're going to have to cut and sand and move things around. Giant feet. The ankles are actually okay on this kit. It's funny enough. The knees and the hips and everything is so terrible on this kit. The ankles are pretty good. And then, what are you going to do? There's a good example. That little blue piece, there's so much stuff underneath that blue piece. All these chrome pieces, all these metal pieces, all this neat looking stuff that you will never see. Because that's on there. Complicated for the sake of being complicated. And you can see, there's different fins moving out, all sorts of stuff here. Accessories, the shield. The shield is one of the few things I built where you don't really have to do much. It snaps all together. It's a tight fit, and you have to put a little pressure to get everything to go together, but it fits fine. The gun, however, is going to have to be glued together from top to bottom. It's a real pain in the butt. It falls apart constantly. If you don't glue it, just bust out the glue and glue the whole friggin' thing together. And we get them all together. He can hold the shield all right. It's a little tricky, but it can be done. The gun falls out of his hands if you breathe on it too hard. Finally, you have these binders over the shoulders that go over the shoulder and all the way down with these giant wings. These wings kind of act as a bumper or backstop. If he kind of falls backwards, those will stop him. Like I said, the gun is held in place by the hand and not much else. You look at it wrong, it'll fall out of the hand. The shield, although, has a pretty decent connection. It's really tough to get on there, but once it's on there, you're good. But you would be shocked and stunned at how much glue I have used to put this thing together. Another thing that seems to bother me is I had so much trouble getting these things on, and then when you got them on and everything hooked, which, by the way, I had to glue them on because they wouldn't stay on otherwise, they will not line up perfectly. You can't get them to line up, and it kind of bothers me. No, I want them to line up perfectly on the top and then perfectly on the bottom, and no, it doesn't work. So you're just going to have to finagle it till you get something you like. But enjoy that pose there, because that's all you're going to get. You also have this beam saber, which is a BAB, big-ass beam saber, and the blade weighs a bloody ton. I don't know what they made this out of. It looks a little bit better than the actual stuff Bandai uses, but it's way too heavy, and the hand will never hold that. The decals. Oh my God. 2 8x10 sheets of decals and then a smaller sheet. They give you instructions for the smaller sheet in the manual, but everything else is just kind of bonus. So I decided, you know what, to heck with this. I'm not even going to fight with it. I'm just making it up as I go. They give you lots of, camo decals and lots of extra little bonus decals and all sorts of neat little stuff. So I just said, you know what, screw it. I'm doing my own thing. I'll make it up as I go. And when I did that, I got this. I used a lot of those camo decals on the wings. There's lots of, C logos. RX-105 is the number on this kit, or number on this Gundam, rather. I used a lot of the digital camo things going. I just get, like I said, I just get them with nuts. I was like, okay, I got all this stuff. Let's just put it places. that make sense and look cool. They got pinstriping that looks good in certain places. I mean, I like it. It looks good. There is no rhyme or reason to what I did. I just did it. Okay, where does that look good? Well, how about there? Where does that look good? What about there? Is that long enough to fit here? Sure, why not? Let's put it there. Just kind of went nuts. And there's still a friggin' ton of decals I have not used. There's no way you could put 3 sheets of decals on this thing. They just give you, here's a sheet we can recommend you use, and here's 2 sheets of stuff. Have fun. The upside is, if you do this, and you just wing it on the decals, your kit will look like no one else's, because you're going to pick decals that another person's not going to. So, it does make your individual version of this kit going to be different from everybody else's, just because of the way you did your decals, which I guess is kind of neat. Who wants gratuitous size comparison? That's right, you do. This thing's massive. Here's the RX-78 version 2.0. 2.0, about waist high on him. Granted, this kit is mostly legs. The Victory, because I always love posing these kits, these are supposed to be same scale. This thing is 1/100th scale. So, yeah, they're the same size. And, yes, the Kasi Gundam is a monster. And next to a big kit, Sazabi Verka. Kasi's got a little bit on him, maybe, a head and the shoulders, and that's about it. So he's really, really big, but he's not over-the-top madness big. He's just big. He's not Deep Striker, okay? Final thoughts on this kit. I am not going to be giving this kit a thumbs up, for the basic reason of this kit is a statue. After everything I've done, all the glue, all the fighting, the maddening I've done to this kit to make everything work, to get everything lined up and get it together, it is just not worth it. If you remember when I talked about the perfect grade strike, how it was a joy to build, it was just fun to put this thing together. This thing was not fun to put together. This thing sucked to put together. It was a nightmare. I don't like building this thing. I don't enjoy building this. And the fact that it cost almost $200 stings. I do not recommend this. I do not recommend you do this. The only thing this has got going for it is it looks badass. No one's going to sit here and deny that doesn't look cool. But that right there is all you're going to get. It doesn't pose. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't have any kind of special features unless you really go nuts with it. It sits there and it looks badass, and that's all it does. Well, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you found it informative. If you have any questions, please ask them. I'm sure there will be a lot with this kit. Please stay tuned for more. I've always got more reviews coming. And I will see you guys next time. I am sorry it took so long for me to put out a review. I did not put one out in September. I will try and make it up and get a couple extra reviews in this month. But, yeah. This kit was a pain in the butt. Oh, and one more thing. I suppose the final question is, will I ever get another one of these Mechanicore kits to build? And to that I say, hell no.